Students, as I told you that everybody must have blessed with a little bit of aptitude for sure. Everyone, yes, of you. So take it granted that you the people definitely having a wonderful aptitude for sure, but only thing is that may not be sufficient for the present situation. We need to enhance the topics. So for that we are discussing this topic, my dear students. So yesterday we have started off some questions, and I just try to explain you and what is the very concept of quantitative aptitude. As I told you that quantitative aptitude, somebody of you may be having a misconception that yes, it is what we call is a mathematics, and we need to discuss some formulas, something like, but there is no such things. It is not mathematics, my dear students. We need not discuss any formula, as I told you already. So we will be discussing simple concepts. We can answer quantitative aptitude only by means of applying your just common sense, nothing more than that, just common sense. So yesterday actually I tried to explain you by giving some examples, and let me check how you really follow that. Yeah, very good morning students, very good morning to all of you. And yes, yesterday we discussed some questions, and yes, some of you raised that some points as such, and let me discuss that question one by one. Yeah, question number 1. I hope that question number 1 is okay for you. So this already we discussed. I hope that you got the point right. Therefore now we move on to question number 2. Here we go. Yeah, student, yes. This one I gave you yesterday, and of course I just ask you to work it on that. Did you get the point, my dear students? Now please look at the question, and let us see how you really answer this question. And size is absolutely similar, which mean to say that by looking at the ball you may not be able to identify is there any defect in out of the 27 balls, is there any defective ball is there. But there is a defective ball. Even though all the 27 are similar in size, it is given that one of these is heavier. Yeah, student, now this is the point we need to understand, that one of the ball is heavier. The point is one of the ball is heavier than all the remaining. Student, if you have to identify that particular heavier ball, the only process is by weighing. As I told you, only by means of weighs, obviously you may be able to identify the weight, odd man. So the question is which way the same, in how many of the least weighings can you identify, how many of the least weighings can you identify the heavier ball with the help of the balance. With the help of the balance we need to identify that particular defective ball. Yes, student, yesterday I gave you as a workout homework. I think you might have tried for this, and may I know that what is your answer, man? Yeah, please come on. Yeah, please let me know what is your answer for the question. What do you think? Your answer is somebody says 5. Yes, anybody else? Come on student, please do respond, because your response is so important. This is an aptitude, we need to work together. It is not just I am just telling you and you are listening. This is not history or economics, it is aptitude. Come on, come out with. How many least weighings, how many least number of weighings you should be able to identify the odd man? Yes, student, I did not get it, man. Yes, okay. Somebody says 5, somebody says 3. It seems that many of you are saying 5 weights. Are you sure? What about the other man? What about the other? Let me check it out. Somebody says 5. Okay. 4. Okay. This is very interesting. So majority of the people are saying 5. So how you are weighing, man? How you are weighing 27 balls? We have a balance. We have a balance in the sense, you can see this. You will be having a pan over here and you will be having a pan over here, and obviously this is connected to a balance. So this is the balance. You have to weigh 27 balls, but doesn't mean to say that you have to weigh each and every ball separately. You understand that. So, does that mean to say that you have to do some more number of weighings? It is not necessary. The reason is, if you can use our common sense, we can definitely identify. I am not asking you to find the weight of the ball. I am only asking you to find the ball which weighs heavier. Out of the 27, which weighs heavier? Tell me, student, how do we do it? How do we do it, man? Somebody says 3, somebody says 4, somebody says 5, and of course, let me check it out. What about the remaining options? Okay, very fine, very fine. Okay, student, now let us come to the point. Here we go. Here it is the explanation for your answer. Let us check it out. How many minimum weighings we require to get the odd man? As I told you that the odd ball, which is actually heavier than the remaining 26, can be identified only by means of balance. Here we go. Come on, student. So, for example, we divide all the 27 balls. Come on, student. We divide all the 27 balls into 9s. 9, 9, 9. How many 9s? 3 9s. Okay. You place the 9 balls over here. You place the remaining 9 balls over here. You get the point? 9 balls and 9 balls. Out of these 9, you place 9 and 9. For example, student, if the balance is absolutely uniform, then what we can conclude, man? What we can conclude, because you have taken 9 balls in each pan and you just started weighing that. If let me suppose that both the pans weigh absolutely same. If you find any of the ball, any of the heavier ball, obviously it comes down. I hope you understand this. If any of the odd man, if any of the heavier ball is there between these two, that particular pan has to come down. Let me suppose that both the 9 balls, both the pans are absolutely same. There is no difference in weight. They stand absolutely same. What we can conclude? Yes, student, tell me what we can conclude from this. Case number 1, if I take 9 balls over here, 9 balls over here, and I found that both the balances are absolutely still, absolutely uniform, what we can conclude? Come on, please respond. What we can conclude? What we can conclude, man? Come on, student, come on. Yes. Come on, man, it should be very interactive. Yes. Yeah. If let me suppose that both the pans are absolutely same, none of the pan comes down, we can conclude that there is no mistake in these 9 and 9 balls, which means to say that these 18 balls are absolutely similar in weight. The ball you are looking for is not in these 18 balls. Case number 1, if you find both the pans are absolutely still. If you find both the pans are absolutely still, then we can conclude that there is no odd ball in these 18. Did you understand, my dear students? Did you get my point? Did you get my point? Wonderful, very good. Yeah, please keep posting your answers, because your answers will encourage me to give you some more clarity. Student, yeah, please let me know if both the pans are absolutely similar, something like this. We conclude that there is no odd ball in these 18. Therefore, where the odd ball must have been? In the remaining 9. Tell me, students, tell me. One weighment is over. We can remove the remaining 18 balls. Now we have to identify the odd ball in the remaining 9. Am I right? Please, student, yes, please let me know. Am I right? Yeah, very good. That's a very good idea. For example, yes, what I mean by saying is, if both the pans are absolutely same, none of the pan comes down, which mean to say that there is no odd man in these 18. Therefore, your odd man should have been in the remaining 9. How many balls are eliminated? 18 balls are eliminated in one stroke. In one go, we can eliminate the 18 balls. So, which means to say that the odd man now lies in the remaining 9 balls. Well done, very well done. Yes, very good. That's a good response. Yes, that is what is important. Okay, let us come to another way. So we discuss in a different direction. For example, if any of the pan comes down, then what we can conclude? The heavier ball is there in these 9 balls. I hope you understand. If that is the case, you can remove these 18. But anyway, after one weighment, we left with 9 balls. 18 balls are put aside. Students, please let me know, am I clear to you or not? In the one weighment, we put 18 balls. Please come to know. Please respond, students. Am I clear to you? Very good, very good. Excellent, excellent, excellent. So, am I clear to you, students? In one weight, 18 balls are put aside. Now, we have only 9 balls. So, your odd man, the ball you are looking lies within this 9 balls. Come on, student. Am I clear to you, man? Students, we are sorry once again. We are not supposed to take class in Telugu, man. I am sorry for that. But I try to explain you with a very simple sentences so that you may be able to reach me. But I am very sorry that I am not supposed to teach in Telugu. I understand that you may be having a little difficulty for sure, but you are coming into corporate world. Yes, you have to understand English. There is no other go. Yes, student, now you are absolutely clear that already one weighment is over and one thing is over. Now we left with 9 balls. Only one weighment is completed and now we left with 9 balls. Our odd man, the ball we are identifying, we are able to identify, lies in these 9 balls. You understand that. Therefore, what we do? We divide 9 balls into 3, 3, 3. Okay. Again we take the balance. We take the balance, my dear students, and we put 3 over here and we put 3 over here. Remember, this is second weighing. This is the second weighing. Case number 1. If both the pans are absolutely still, we conclude that there is no odd man in these 6 balls. If both the pans are absolutely still, which means to say that if both the pans stand absolutely like this, both the pans are like this, we conclude that there is no odd man in these 6. Then obviously your ball should have been in these 3 balls. 6 balls are eliminated. If any of the pan comes down, then your ball is over here. But anyway, in the second weighment, another 6 balls are put aside. Another 6 balls are put aside in the second weighment. Students, am I clear to you, man? Please respond. Am I clear to you? Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Excellent. That's good going. Therefore, yes, my dear students, already 2 weighments are over and now we have only 3 balls with us. Only 3 balls with us. So, let us assume that those 3 balls are A, B and C. Student, now this is going to be third weighment. This is going to be third weighment. I hope you understand this. This is going to be third weighment. Here we go. So, yes, again I have taken the balance and let me keep A over here, B over here. Case number 1, if A and B are absolutely same, if A and B are absolutely same, if they stand absolutely same. Therefore, your heavier ball should have been C. If any of this particular balance comes down, then your heavier ball is A. Tell me students, how many waves, how many wavements are required to get the odd man? You get the point? Yes, exactly. Wonderful, wonderful. Therefore, I hope that you are confident now. I hope that you are absolutely confident. What, man? Are you? I hope so. Therefore, come on student, now therefore we require only 3 wavements only to identify the heavier ball. Therefore, the minimum number of wavements that we require to identify the heavier ball is only 3. Student, please do respond. Am I clear to you, or should I explain once again? Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Now you are getting the point right. Now you are getting the point right. That's it. I hope that I am absolutely clear to you. Student, please try to understand that to answer this kind of question, I never use any formula. Did I use? No, I did not use any formula. I did not use any theorem, any formula, any theorem, any something like. What I use is only common sense. This is the significance of quantitative aptitude. So, almost all the questions in quantitative aptitude we can answer only by using our common sense. Maybe there are some exemptions, something like mensuration, where we may need to we have to use some formula, very rare cases. But in the majority of the cases, quantitative aptitude can be answered without using any formula. That is the reason why any student, whether he is from maths, non-maths, any student may be able to answer this topic perfection. Student, am I clear to you, man? Shall I give you one more example? Wonderful, 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 wonderful. So, I appreciate that. I really appreciate that. So, that is what is aptitude is all about. So, probably yesterday you might have given a thought for that, for sure. You might be, I think you might have discussed with your peers, with your friends, with your colleagues or something like. But yes, there must have been some discussion yesterday. There must have been discussion for sure. Because your discussion is all important only to improve the process of thinking. Students, please make a point, make a note of this. The thought process would never develop immediately. It is a regular and a systematic process. Every day new thoughts, every day new concepts. This is natural ability of learning. Yes, students, so because this question is all completed, but again you can have a thought. So, student, please, because the question is all completed doesn't mean to say that it is all over. You can have your own thoughts. For example, in place of 27 balls, if I give you something like 30 balls, then what do you do? How many weights are required? How many wavements are required? Then you have to decide of your own. If 30 balls are given, then how do you answer? So, there may be different chances: 10, 10, 10. 10, 10, 10. In one wavement, 20 balls will be eliminated. Now, we will be left with only 10 balls. Like that. You have to design some of the questions of your own. It is necessary that the student is supposed to design the question of his own. Just by completing one particular question doesn't mean to say that the topic is all over. Now, the remaining questions I am leaving to students. Natural ability of learning. Okay, student, I hope you are getting the point right. Very well done, very well done. That's a very good point. So, this is about balls. Now, we move on to next question, and just look at this, my dear students. Yeah. Now, we are moving to question number 3. Suppose you have sufficient amount of rupee currency in 3 denominations, 1 rupee, 10 rupee, 50 rupee. In how many different ways can you pay a bill of 107 rupees? Student, yesterday already we discussed this question, but I believe that I think we might have missed one of the option. Did you give a try, man? Did you give a try? So, did we miss any one point, man? Yeah, please. Did we miss any one point? Good, 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 very good, very good, very good. Student, actually we discussed this point yesterday and we come to a conclusion and we come to a answer. But my question to you, is that answer is final? Did we miss any of the option? Did you give any second thought of that? Come on, student, yes? Yes, wonderful, wonderful. Please tell me what is the option that we miss? What is the option that we miss? We have to pay a bill of 107 rupees. So, we tried in a different directions. We can pay the bill of 107 rupees with the help of a 50 rupee note and 1 rupee note. 50 rupee note and 1 rupee note can be paid in two ways. 150 remaining 1 rupees, 250s remaining 1 rupees. So, that is about two ways. And with the help of 10 rupees, very good, very good, very good, very good, very good, wonderful, 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 absolutely, absolutely. Yes, students, you are getting the point right. Yesterday actually we thought of doing the question and we have paid amount by means of two denominations, that is 50 rupees and 1 rupee, and we can pay these 107 rupee bill in two ways as I told you yesterday. And of course, we can also pay the bill with the help of 10 rupees and 1 rupees. 10 rupees and 1 rupee. 1 10 rupee, remaining 1 rupees. 2 10 rupees, remaining 1 rupees. So, that way we can pay the bill in 10 ways, and of course, we can also pay the bill with the help of 50 rupee, 10 rupee as well as 1 rupee. We can pay the bill by using all the denominations. If we have to use all the denominations of 50, 10 and 1 rupee, we can only give 150. Tens can be given. Yesterday also we discussed. Therefore, yes, that can be paid in 5 ways. But student, the bill can be paid by using only 1 rupee denominations, as you know that. We can pay the bill by using only 1 rupee denominations, which mean to say that we can pay the bill 107 into 1, that is 107 rupees. Very good, very good, very good, man. Very good, very good, very good, very good. Therefore, this bill can be paid in 18 ways. I hope you understand, my dear students. Students, for your information, to answer this question, we don't require any mathematics. Probably you can see that some petty businessman, some business people, some bankers do this. They pay the bill something like this. So, it is a regular program. This is our regular program. It happens in everyday life. Therefore, this topic is also known as business mathematics. Business, it happens every day in our life. When we go to market, when we go to supermarket, when we go to bank, everywhere, we usually come across this kind of calculations. This is also known as business mathematics. Student, please do understand that I am not very sure whether your regular mathematics, whether you will be using in your daily life or not, I am not very sure. But this particular mathematics actually we are able to discuss in the coming 2 to 3 months is very, very useful. You will be using this in everyday life. Okay? Yeah, student, okay, fine. And now we are moving to question number 4. Yes, actually we discussed this question yesterday as well. Yes, of course, the question is a little easy. Therefore, you are able to answer this question with an ease. Student, you please let me know, is this okay for you? Is the wavelength is okay? Are you ready to answer some more questions, man? Are you ready to answer some more questions? Please respond. because to get into the topic, I just want to give you, I want your attention, because your attention is more important for me. You are the people who are to learn. Student, are we ready? Are you ready to take some more questions, man? Are you ready to take some more questions? Please respond. If you are ready, then I think we can go ahead. Very good, very good. That's very good. That's a good spirit. That's a good spirit. Be prepared to face some different kinds of questions with great enthusiasm. That is very important. Up to intermediate, actually, it is only academics. But once you get into degree, once you get into engineering, it is not just academics, but many other issues play a very crucial role. That is, one is aptitude, another one is attitude. Okay. Now, student, now we are moving to some more question. Question number 4. Here we go. Alright, student. So, a small question is put to you, because it is a very small question. Every day you will come to know that you come across this particular situation. A clock takes 3 seconds to strike 3. Now, my question is, how long it takes to strike 7? You know that clock, do you have an analog clock in your home, man? A clock strike, actually most of you are using digital clocks, but at least in your clock you might be having an analog clock. Obviously, it takes some sounds and something like that. So, it is given that it takes 3 seconds to strike 3. 1, 2, 3. It takes 3 seconds. And my question to you, how much time it takes to strike 7? Come on, man. Come on, let me see that. Just use your common sense. I don't think that you will be using any mathematics or all that. This is a simple common sense. Very interesting. Come on, come out. I am eagerly waiting to see your answer, man. I am very eagerly waiting to see your answer. Yeah, good spirit, good spirit. That's a good response. Please do understand. Yes, yes, yes. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Okay, okay. Student, before you answer any of the question, give a thought. Give a simple thought. Don't get into the wrong conclusion. So, many of the people jump into the wrong conclusion very quickly. That's not fair. Take your time. Take your time. I hope that you the people must be looking at the clock. Are you looking at the clock, man? Explain once, student. You mean to say that question number 1? Okay, okay. I will get it. I will tell you. I will tell you. Sure, sure, sure. I hope that you must be looking at the clock and you must be eagerly waiting. Oh, how much time it takes. Come on, come out, come out. Please do understand. Don't jump into the wrong conclusion quickly. You can take some time. There is no hurry, man. You can take some time. I think so many of you are answering, you are giving the answer for sure, but I think you need to think once again too before you come to a conclusion. Oh, this is absolutely misleading. This is absolutely misleading. I tried to mislead you, but you the people should not get into the track. Come. Okay, okay, okay. Oh, wonderful, wonderful. At the end, I think I could get one correct answer from your side, man. At the end, yes, I could able to get one correct answer. Yeah, this is a very interesting question, student. Actually, many of you jump into the conclusion that 3 seconds to strike 3, therefore 7 seconds to strike 7. Probably this is the wrong perception, but many of you put the same answer. This is how aptitude is so familiar. This is how the aptitude is so interesting. You understand that? I just put you in wrong track, and you could able to, yes, yes, yeah. Student, right. Now please come to the point. Students, please listen to me, please listen to me. So we have a clock over here, we have a clock over here. Here we go. So just I am trying to draw a clock for you. Here we go. So this is an analog clock. Probably you might be having at your home. This is 12, this is 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and this is 9, 10, 11, 8 and 7. Student, when the time is absolutely 3, when the time is absolutely 3, it obviously gives start giving the sound. So student, once the time is 3 o'clock, the sound has come, and from that moment to listen third stroke, it took actually 3 seconds, which means to say that the time starts at the very beginning, and this is 2, and this is 3, this is 1, this is 2, this is 3. For your kind information, for the entire process it took 3 seconds, isn't it? Student, when you start counting the time, man, when you start counting the time, when you look at the clock, when the first stroke has come, when the first stroke has come, you look at the time. Oh, this is, you start listening. You pay attention when the very first stroke has come. You understand my point. You start paying your attention when the first stroke has come. Right. Okay, the stroke has come. Second and then third. Therefore, it take 3 seconds for how many intervals, man? 2 intervals. Which means to say that it took 1.5 seconds for each interval. You get the point? To strike 3, there were 2 intervals. You start giving your attention when there is a first stroke. Okay, you start giving the attention. 2, 3. How many intervals? 2 intervals, for which it took 3 seconds. Which mean to say that for every 1 interval, 1.5 seconds. Student, you please let me know, am I clear to you, man? You please let me know, am I clear to you? Did you understand the very concept of 2 intervals? To strike 3, there were 2 intervals. Intervals in the sense 1 to 2, there is a gap. 2 to 3, there is a gap. So the each gap is considered to be 1 interval. So for every 1 interval, it took 1.5 seconds. By the way, 2 intervals, it took 3 seconds. You please respond, am I clear to you or not? Come on student, please respond, am I clear to you or not? Come on, yes. I expect your response, because your response is more important for me to get to complete the remaining part of the question. Am I clear to you, man? Am I clear to you? Therefore, to strike 3, when there were 2 intervals, to strike 7, tell me students, how many intervals you must be having, man? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. To strike 7, how many intervals you must be having? Well done. That's a good going. Well done. How many intervals you must be having to strike 7? So when the clock is at striking 7, you please make it a very clear point that you will be paying your attention when it stroke first. Okay, fine. It starts stroking. So when actually the strokes has come, therefore you can easily understood that there must have been 6 intervals, isn't it? And for each interval, you understand that it takes 1.5 seconds, and therefore 6 intervals, 6 into 1.5, therefore it takes 9 seconds. Very good. Yeah, sure, I will be explaining you. Students, so the very big misleading is takes 3 seconds to strike 3, therefore 7 seconds to strike 7. This was the very wrong opinion. Many of you jump into the conclusion very quickly. That is why aptitude is so familiar. It is so popular. That is the reason why this topic is actually so popular, and this particular topic you have in every competitive examinations. Student, actually the point is all about to strike 3, to strike 3. So what is the meaning of striking 3? When the very first stroke comes, you start paying the attention. Okay, fine, it is 1. Okay, fine. So 1, 2, 3. So what is 3 seconds to see the final stroke, which means to say that from the very first stroke there were 2 intervals. 1, the sound has come, 2, and then 3. 1, 2, and 3. How many gaps do we have, man? 2 gaps. For 2 gaps, it takes 2 seconds, which mean to say that for every 1 interval, it took 1.5 seconds. Somebody asked me to explain this question once again, therefore I am just trying to explain you. Yeah. Therefore, and now to strike 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Tell me, student, how many intervals do we have? How many intervals? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Therefore, 6 intervals. For each interval it takes 1.5 seconds, and for 6 intervals it takes 9 seconds. Student, yes, I understand that some of you are raising the point that I need to explain you in Telugu. The problem is, in this class we have the people from different parts of Andhra Pradesh. So that is the reason why I think it is not advisable for me to take the class in Telugu. So we expect that you the people should be able to understand English. You start doing that. Maybe you may be having a complaint that, sir, we are from Telugu medium background. Telugu medium background is not a very big issue, man. The medium you have come from doesn't play any role. It is only a habit. Therefore, please do understand that. But anyway, we discuss once again whether we can teach in Telugu or not. Right at the moment, I am not supposed to explain you in Telugu, man. Okay? Right. Yes, student, yes, anything you want to explain, anything you want to ask me? Yeah, am I clear to you, man? Am I clear to you? But in the very beginning, many of you put your answer 7 seconds, right? Many of you put your answer 7 seconds. But at least now you come to know that yes, the correct answer is 9 seconds. Please respond, my dear students. Am I clear to you? Shall I give you one more question, please? If this is clear to you, therefore I will put you one more question so that I can check it out where you stand in the business. Well done, very well done. Come on, student, I am going to make very simple change in this question. You please try to answer this question. A clock takes 3 seconds to strike 3. How long it takes to strike 1? How long it takes to strike 1? Tell me. Very good. Now answer this question, man. Answer this question. How long it takes to strike 1? Yeah. I'm eagerly waiting to see what answer you put. Wonderful. Excellent. It takes 0 seconds, man, to strike 1. It takes 0 seconds because it starts striking 1. You don't even see the time. And you start paying attention from the second hour onwards. When the striking starts, obviously you don't look at the time. Therefore, to strike 1, it takes only 0 seconds, which means to say that not 1 second, man, 0 seconds, 0 seconds. What do you mean by saying 1 second? No, it starts striking 1. You don't even look at the watch. It was already struck, it done. I hope you understand this point. Find it very interesting. So far so good, student, if you could see that, and I could able to explain you this particular topic, even giving you any basic information. So by this you can understand that quantitative aptitude is such a simple topic, you don't require even the basics as such. We can straight away get into the topic, but all the questions are not this easy. Please take it granted that you can't expect that, so aptitude is so easy that we can answer very quickly, may not be. So for some questions you may require some basics for sure. Some questions you may require some basics for sure. For example, if I put a question to you like this, if n square is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8, 7, oh, very big number, then what is n? Then what is n? Student, actually the question in the very first stroke, it seems to be so interesting. In the very first stroke, we think that this is a very, very big number. But if you have some simple numerical calculations, if you have a simple idea, you can easily answer these questions. Student, when you look at the question in the very first instant, oh my God, what a big number is this? Do we need to use a calculator? If that is the question, means we may not be able to answer many questions. This is the wrong impression many of you get into, but it is not like that. If you focus the question clearly, probably you may not be able to answer the question straight away. We can start with the very simple questions. For example, if I have to square 11, so remember students, 11 square is, you know that, 121. And if we go ahead, 11 square is something like this, 1, 2, 3, 2, 1, isn't it? 1, 2, 3, 2, 1. Because student, when you are squaring a number like 11, how do you square 11, man? 11 into 11, which means 11, 11, and 2, 1, 1, which means to say that 1, 2, 1, that's it. And if you have to square 11 and 11, so the same process is adopted. So once we come to know that the process, so this is very easy, man. For example, because 11 square is 121, and because 111 square is 1, 2, 3, 2, 1, we come to know that because there are 3 ones, therefore 3 comes in the middle. There are 2 ones, 2 comes in the middle. And if you try 1111 square, the question goes something like this, which means we have 4 ones, therefore 4 comes in the middle. So by looking at the options, actually after working out some of the questions something like this, we come to know that in n square, because the 9 is in the middle, there must have been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Hence, your answer is third option. That is what we call taking a counter example. We can answer this question by taking some simple counter example. So because we answer this kind of questions in different directions, that is the reason why we call it aptitude. Because 11 square is 121, man, therefore because we have 2 ones, 2 comes in the middle, and 111 square is 1, 2, 3, 2, 1, 3 comes in the middle. So the number of ones we can identify by using the middle digit. When we have 2 in the middle digit, therefore there should have been 2 ones. 3 in the middle digit, there must have been 3 ones, and 4 in the middle digit, there must be 4 ones. In the given question, 9 is in the middle, hence we conclude that there are 9 ones. I hope you understand, my dear students. Explain which question, student, what you are asking me? Which question you are asking me, students? Oh, you are giving the answer. Okay, right. Your answer is third option. Very good, very good. I hope you understand this. Students, this is all aptitude. This is all aptitude. This is called quantitative aptitude. Please do understand that many of the quantitative aptitude questions can be answered straight away, which means to say that you need not be very good at mathematics. But if you can able to apply your logic properly, we can easily get the answer. I think you are getting the point right. But students, as I told you that the topics, all the questions may not be this easy, all the questions may not be this easy. So what we do, we introduce each topic. I introduce the topics like time and work, time and distance, every topic I will be introducing you. Once you understand the basics, you will be able to answer the questions with lot more confidence. So student, quantitative aptitude requires some basic informations. That is, that some numerical calculations, some different kinds of numbers, and all that we require. So from Monday onwards, we will be starting the topic. For the last 2 to 3 days, actually I have been trying to give you the very basics of aptitude, and I just want to make it sure that this topic is absolutely simple. Any student may be able to answer by using his common sense, nothing more than that. Forget about your maths, forget about your school syllabus, forget about everything, just put some confidence and we show you the right path, and we will be discussing this topic with full confidence. Student, I advise you to keep some separate book for this quantitative aptitude. So I advise you to keep some 200 pages book, man, because don't write down this particular topic anywhere else, because I can tell you that this particular book is going to be useful till you retire, not till you get your employment. You know why? Because once you get into the job also, there are some promotional tests where you will be taking the test, and that is most preferably aptitude. That is the reason why you please keep a separate 200 pages book. So we will be discussing this topic from Monday onwards. Probably we will be completing the syllabus within very 2 to 3 months of time. I will be going at a very slower pace. I don't want to confuse you by giving you too many options, too many examples. At a quicker pace, I will do my level best. But keep the book, keep a separate book. That book is going to be useful. A very, very important book is going to be very useful for your career. Okay. I hope that we are doing in the, I think we are absolutely doing the right thing. I don't think I am trying to, I am going at a quicker pace. I will maintain the slower pace so that many of the students may be able to understand that. Okay. So, Monday onwards, we will be starting the topic. Be prepared. I will be dealing with a very, very simple basics, man, because I am absolutely confident that you really love this topic. Once you get into the topic, you really start loving this. I can absolutely assure you. Bye students. So, we will be meeting again Monday 9 o'clock. But do understand, our class will be starting sharp at 9 o'clock every day. Right. Thank you.